Hi, Jim Sammons here. Today I was going to kind of share with you what I think are some of the features you want to look for if you want to have an offshore fishing kayak. Because the beauty of kayak fishing is there really is a kayak for every different application. Guys who want to stand up, guys who want to fish rivers, and guys like me who want to go offshore. So some of the things I like to look at is paddleability. I want a kayak that paddles well, because if you're going offshore, it usually means you're putting in a good amount of miles. Personally, I wouldn't even consider an offshore kayak that was under 13 feet. Any shorter than that, you get 5 miles offshore and the wind and chop and slop comes up, you're not going to have a good time paddling back. So having a boat that paddles really well. You also have to consider, what kind of waters you're going to be fishing in. If when you go offshore, you have to launch through surf, well then of course you need a kayak that can handle the surf well. A narrow bow, something that can punch through the waves. If you have a very wide bowed boat, you hit a wave and it just wants to push you backwards, and you start going backwards, that's when you might flip. So again, if you're going to be going offshore through the surf, make sure you have a boat that is designed to handle the surf well. Now, most of us who fish offshore also, we love to have our electronics. So are there good places to mount fish finders and other tools and electronics that you might put on there, whether you have a separate GPS, fish finder? I've seen guys with iPads on their kayak. So is there good mounting areas? Is there good areas for any of your tools? That I always say when you're rigging up a kayak, you want everything accessible but out of the way. So you want to be able to reach your fish finder, you want to be able to reach your tools, but they're not in the way of you dealing with your fishing rods or landing fish or getting to your internal storage. That's another thing you want to look at. Do you have internal storage on the kayak? Can you easily get rods inside the boat? Because if you are doing those surf launches, it's nice to be able to get your rods down inside the kayak just in case you flip over. So do you have that internal storage? Not only for your rods, but like me, I like to have an insulated game bag inside my kayak. So do you have enough room where you can easily access the interior of kayak to get those rods, to get that fish, whatever you want, down inside the boat? Most of us who fish offshore tend to bring quite a few rods. So do you have a lot of rod storage on the boat? Do you have places to mount rod holders for your different styles of fishing? I put rod holders up on the front of my boat for some styles of fishing. I put rod holders on the back of my boat for other styles of fishing. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at the boat, it's like, are there good flat areas where I can mount rod holders, or does that boat already come with a lot of rod holders that are going to be functional? As far as the paddleability, I jump back to that a little, is you want a boat that tracks well. Because if you're going to be putting in those miles, you want a boat that tracks well. Also, do you have the ability to put a rudder on your kayak? Now, I have a rudder on my kayak. I rarely use it. But man, when you're way out there and that wind comes up, or you have a following sea, it is sure nice to have one. So do you have the ability to put a rudder on your boat, or does that kayak come with a rudder? Most of us fish live bait. So is there a good area for your live bait tank or a live bait system on your kayak? And lastly, is there good tackle storage? Do you have a place where you can put a tackle box that's easily accessible, so you're not having to dive down inside the hull of your boat every time you want to change out a hook? That's just a few of the things that you want to think about. I always say, as you think about speed versus stability, you never want to be in a boat that's so fast that you've lost all your stability. You don't want to be fighting to stay on top of your kayak all day, but you don't want a kayak that's so stable that you feel like you're paddling a barge. So find that balance, that you have good speed in the kayak, but you're also comfortable moving around and dealing with big fish. Most important thing is, if you have the opportunity, go out there and test paddle some boats. Get some good kayaking instruction so you know how to handle these longer, faster boats, and you will not regret it. So along the lines of all those things I just told you, I work with Jackson Kayak. I help them design the Jackson Kayak Kraken. It is my signature boat. And it has those features I was talking about. You know, we've got a spot up on the forward hatch, or the center hatch, to put a fish finder. That center hatch opens up, I can get my rods, I can get my fish down inside my game bag right there without having to really move around or slide forward to the front of the boat. We have a transducer scupper, so it's really easy to set up your fish finder. For the bait tank, we have a bait pump scupper, so you don't have a pump hanging off the side of the boat, and it primes automatically. There's no priming of that pump. The boat's, you know, we have a 13.5 and a 15.5 Kraken, so we've got those nice, long, good paddling boats. They have the super comfortable seat, lots of rod holder areas, and it comes rudder ready, so it's very easy to rig this boat up with a rudder. So for me, this is the ultimate offshore fishing kayak. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section below. I will be happy to answer all your questions. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Kayak Fishing Tales.